Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the garage. Finally, it's been probably, geez, I don't know, three, 4 weeks since I've been in here doing any work on the H project, and we're gonna do that today. My goal is hopefully I can get the engine buttoned up on this thing as far as kind of the hard reassembly goes. You know, I'd like to get the cam in it, all the timing gears on it, get the timing cover put on with the new front seal, and get the cylinder head on it, the governor with the new governor seal, and maybe the push rods, rocker arms, and you know, just try to get everything closed up. It's really just everything's been sitting here for quite a while, pretty much in the state that it was left in, but a reason for that is because we've been getting a lot of stuff ready for a big garage sale we're gonna have. We've been going through my mom's and my dad's things and finally starting to sort through a lot of it and get it out of here so that we have a little bit more space, because there's quite frankly a lot of stuff that we don't need. So we will be having a big garage sale when that see, probably in about, I think we're gonna do a pre-sale for all my friends and family so they can come look at it in a couple weeks, and then a couple weeks after that we'll do a big blowout sale. But we've got Now Then coming up in about 3.5 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that is Rolog with the big case expo. So it's gonna be a very busy month. I've got a wedding the weekend after Rolog, I think. So I've got a lot to do in the next 7 weeks or so, 7-8 weeks. But I want to get this engine together so that I don't have parts laying all over the floor when we have a garage sale. So that is what I intend to do today, but hopefully I can get it all done, but we'll see. You know, you never know with a 4-month-old how things are gonna go. So my wife's in the house with the baby, so hopefully everything goes okay. And I'll probably have a guest stopping by just to hang out while we work on this. So I think if you guys watched my my woodshed building video, my friend Big Joe, good friend of mine, he'll be stopping by today. He was in that video just helping me get that thing into the backyard and stuff. But anyways, this is kind of a little bit of a change of gears here. I've been receiving a lot of very positive feedback from everybody on all this stuff and my whole YouTube experience, and with any upside there's always a downside. I've been going to a popular online forum I've been posting on that forum since 1998, so almost 21 years. And I started posting on that forum when I was 12 years old, and that's largely where I gained a lot of my my knowledge, was on the forum, and then through manuals and through talking to people and, you know, just doing things myself. I don't have any formal mechanic training other than some shop classes in high school, so just something that has been kind of, it hasn't been bugging me lately, but I've been putting updates on this forum for this project since we started it, and I always attach the videos with these updates. And recently there was a number of people, there was a lot of positive and there was some negative, and there was a lot of people that brought up some good points that I probably should have touched on in the videos that I didn't, about reassembling with new parts, etc., etc., and then there was a lot of people that were very negative, and it didn't really bother me as a person, but what bothers me is, there's young people that are trying to get into this hobby and they don't have the knowledge, the experience, the tools necessarily, the proper tools. Much like me now, I mean, I'm still buying tools now, and I don't even have a welder. I don't have a torch or a welder or a brass punch set, which is a very good thing to have, and I don't have any of that. I just get by with mostly basic hand tools and some things that some friends have helped me make along the way, like the sleeve puller and some other homemade tools, I guess you could say. But I just want to go through a couple of the comments that I've seen on this, and it concerns me because I don't care. What people say doesn't bother me as a person, but it bothers me because there are young people, and even not young people, there are people that just don't know anything about engines or mechanics that want to get into this hobby. And when you have people that say these things, it's very discouraging to them and anybody that's trying to try anything new. So I'm just going to read a couple of these things to you guys. And one of the things brought up was somebody said that I didn't put any oil on the pistons and everything when I slid them in the cylinders, and that is not shown in the video, but I did put oil on them. I use straight 30 weight oil. I oil up everything, and then I wipe off the excess so it's not running all over. And also, before putting a piston ring compressor on, you want to make sure you stagger each piston ring so the gaps in the rings are not all lined up. So those are things I didn't cover in the video, but I guess I didn't have the forethought to cover it because it's just something I always do automatically. So I do apologize for that, and I want to thank the gentleman on the forum that did bring that up. But I'm just scrolling up through this page. I'm not gonna list the website or anything like that. There's a gentleman here that says, after seeing the video, I would never let him work on any of my engines. Well, that's fine. I only work on my own and a couple other friends, and so far it's been working out pretty good. But I mean, those kind of comments, it discourages me because I try to do the best that I can. It doesn't discourage me. It bothers me because there's young people and people that are trying to learn how they can do the best they can with what they have. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, not everybody has micrometers and lathes and has all the indispensable income they can do to put $5,000 of machine work into an engine. And these engines were not meant. They were meant to be fixed in the field by farmers, people with limited tools, limited knowledge, and they definitely didn't have clean working environments all the time. And they're very forgiving. So I think that people kind of get overzealous or maybe over involved in precautionary measures. Nothing wrong with being to the T. I'm an avid follower and supporter of Squatch 253's channel, and I'll tell you, if you want to see some of the best quality mechanic and restoration work, that is probably the best example I could give you, would be to go check out Squatch's channel and all the work he does. But he's also a trained mechanic. It's what he does by trade. He's got a lot more tools than I do, and I'm just doing the best I can with what I've got. But anyways, there's another here that it just really bothered me. One gentleman said, "Oh my, it's hard to watch that. You should buy some tools. I've never seen anyone beat on an engine bearing with a cold chisel or even a carpenter's claw hammer. The engine block has to be spotless before any assembly begins. The deck must be clean and spotless. Plus, chase the threads. Nothing was checked. Wrist pins were not checked to the rod bushings for wear. Bearings not lubed properly or plastic gauged. Piston rings not orientated nor lubed before assembly. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that I did outside of the videos that didn't go into the videos because, quite frankly, if I included every tiny step along the way, that video would take me hours and hours to just do one segment. And I don't know, I feel like I've always been pretty open with everybody about answering questions and comments, and I've disclosed an email address to everybody if there's ever any questions. So and that same gentleman kind of goes on and rants about basically my being a poor excuse for a mechanic and having no business inside an engine. So if there's people that saw this on the forum, I kind of killed them with kindness. And I wanted to address that because there's a lot of people that they don't have the tools that they think they need when you really don't. If you're very careful and you do your research, you can get by just fine with basic tools and maybe a few specialty things, you know, like pullers and things like that. But don't be discouraged. If you're looking at getting into this hobby, it's a very good hobby. It's a very fun thing to do. The people generally make it great. And it teaches you just about how an engine works and how transmissions work, and you know, just anything technical that your mind wants to try to grasp, you can learn from something as simple as these. You know, they're very basic. Most of the bolts on them are 1/2 inch, 9/16, 5/8, or 3/4. So yeah, it's very basic. So anyways, I just wanted to touch on that. Let me get set up here, and I got to do some cleaning. I still got to wire wheel the cylinder head. I got to clean that off, and let's see. I'm probably not going to get to the water pump today, so I won't even mess with that. But at least if I can get the cylinder head and everything like that on, and most of that stuff, it should be a little bit better. So anyhow, let me get set up. I got a little bit of wire wheeling to do before we really get dirty. So let's go to work. Okay guys, I've cleaned up the cylinder head. I've got all the paint stripped off of it, and well, most of it except for what's in the spark plug holes. And let's see, I have installed the front engine cover, or the timing cover plate, and this one has 2 bolts here that you have to install before you put the camshaft in, because they ride behind the camshaft and there's no way to get to them. But I've also installed the idler gear that goes between the crankshaft and the governor housing, so that does not have to be timed, the governor housing to the crankshaft, but the camshaft has to be timed to the crankshaft, and there's a timing mark right here on this tooth, and then the magneto drive has to be timed to the camshaft. So there'll be basically 2 pairs of timing marks when we slide the camshaft in. But one thing I also want to cover that I've covered in many other videos is I usually get some of this gasket maker, the RTV stuff, and then I'll take and I'll put a very thin layer throughout the gasket as I install it, because it'll help to fill in any imperfections in the castings. So if this is my gasket here, I'll take it and smear some between my fingers and just basically rub it on the gasket to help it adhere to the steel, and then to fill in any imperfections or pits in the steel. So that's what I use the RTV for. I don't make gaskets with it. I just use it as a kind of like a promoter or a sealer, I guess you could call it. But they do make a like a spray-on type of promoter, but this is what I've been doing for years, and it seems to work really well. So let me get my oil, and from here we should be able to slide the camshaft in, and then the oil pump can go on, and I'll change out the gasket on the bottom of the oil pump. I'll inspect the bottom of the pump housing where it mates with the gears, and from there we should be able to put on the cross plate for the rear that helps the oil pump seal across the back, and we won't be able to put the rear main on until it's out of the stand. But we should be able to button up the timing gear area, so let's keep going with that and see where we end up. All right, so we've got our single punch mark lined up with our single punch mark between the crank and the cam. So the cam is slid in place. Now we just have to put the bolts in the cam bearing bracket, which you can do through the cam, the holes in the cam gear. There's one here, and then there's one opposite of this. You'll just have to rotate the engine over in order to install those bolts. So let's go ahead and get those in, and let's see, then we can flip the engine over, put the cam followers or lifter blocks in place, then the steel strap that goes over that to keep them in place when you flip the engine upside down, and we should be able to work on getting the magneto drive on and the timing cover. So let's go from there. Okay guys, now we've got the oil pump slid in place, and I loosened the oil pump, the bottom plate. You got to be careful when you do this because it is spring loaded, so be careful when you do that. Then I usually take the plate off and inspect this surface. You see those two rings? That's where these drive gears wear, and I usually tend to check that surface to see how scored it is. And if it has a lot of wear, I'll take and put a piece of sandpaper on a flat piece of like an old glass cutting board. And I'll just go back and forth until those wear marks are pretty much gone. So if I had a belt sander, like a tabletop belt sander, it'd be a lot easier. But a nice piece of old glass cutting board will work with a piece of sandpaper on it. So I'm going to do that quick, and we'll place the gasket in here and we'll put it back together. And that should be about it for the bottom end, other than the oil pan and the main seal, rear main seal. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, and now we've got the distributor drive in place. So there's a double punch mark on the distributor drive or magneto drive. There's also a double punch mark on the cam tooth, and then the single punch marks on the cam and crank gears line up. So we're set to go there. I just have to install the seal in the front timing cover, and that is ready to go on. And I'm about to put the head on, only I'm trying to figure out which side is up. Usually the head gaskets are marked, you know, it'll say top or out, and this one is not marked. And if I remember right, there's a specific way that these are designed. From what I remember, there's a fire ring on the cylinder side or the block side of the head gasket, and I think that goes down. I think, but I got to do some research and figure that out, and then we'll keep going. So I'm just going to install this seal on the front here. I'll just get a block of wood and tap it in, and then once I figure out the head gasket, that'll go on with, where did I set it? I usually use this copper coat for head gaskets and manifold gaskets. Spray both sides, let it tack up, then put the head gasket on, put the head on, and then you're good to go. So tighten the head down. But let me get this seal installed. We'll put the front timing cover on, and we'll go from there. Just like that. We'll get all the nuts on here, tighten it down to 70 foot-pounds, and then we can go for the timing cover. Okay guys, well, we've got, let me think, what did I do? Well, I just primed a bunch of parts. I primed, you know, the cylinder head, the engine block, oil pan, rear adapter plate or mount plate, rear engine mount plate. Those are the battery brackets. I primed the oil filter housing and the crankshaft pulley. Now, in order to install, I've got the front seal in the front timing cover here, Yeah, but in order to install the felt seal, which goes around the journal of the crankshaft pulley, I have to put the pulley through the timing cover and then put the seal, or the felt seal, over the pulley shaft, and then slide it, the entire thing, on here as an assembly, or at least that's what I'm going to try to do. I've already got the key installed, so I got to be really careful not to cut the seal on the key, the rubber seal on the timing cover. Well, actually, that won't be an issue because the pulley is going to be inside the timing cover. So let me get that set up here. Only take a second. I gotta put a little oil on that seal. Always put oil on your rubber seals so that everything slides together nicely. All right. Kind of just got to work it in there. Now, one thing as well, don't forget to put your oil slinger. It's a small plate here. Don't forget to put that on as well before you put everything together. So let's see how this works. See if we can't get it slid together. Make sure the keyway is in the right spot. All right, got it started. All right, so now we should be able to kind of thread everything together here. Kind of have my bolts set up. So the bolts for the distributor drive go through the distributor drive, through the front engine plate, and into the timing cover. So see if I can't just get a couple of extra bolts in here just to kind of help hold everything. And let's see. Like that. And I pretty much just primed everything just to keep it from flash rusting, so this might be it for tonight, is getting this timing cover on. I still haven't gotten the rocker arms, the push rods, the lifters, or the oil pan on yet. but I can't put the oil pan on until I get the main seal on, so that will have to probably be for another time. But I'm almost there. So trying to use new bolts where I can. So everything's going pretty smoothly. It's just a matter of you know, kind of a methodical way about it. But I'm gonna finish putting the bolts in this front timing cover, and then I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm just trying to get as many parts off the floor as I can before this garage sale, but I've also got the head torqued down. That's 70 foot-pounds again. But let me take this thing off. Whoop. It's fighting me. So, oh boy. Was kind of jumping all over in this video, but essentially that's how we, let's see, what did we cover? We covered the oil pump, resurfacing the bottom plate for the oil pump, installing a new gasket, installing the cylinder head, installing the camshaft, and timing it to the crank, installing the distributor drive and timing it to the camshaft, installing the front main seal as well as the the felt seal, pulley, timing cover, front engine plate. So we got quite a bit done. I mean, we didn't get the rocker arms, push rods, or the lifters in, but I still have to clean the lifters out, so I still have them sitting in the bag. They need to be cleaned. I'm going to soak them in diesel fuel and clean them out. So I'll finish putting this timing cover on, tightening it up, and then I think that'll be it for today. So didn't get as far as I wanted, but I got quite a bit done, so I'm happy with that. And until next time, I think we'll probably be working on the governor next, and the push rods, lifters, and rocker arms, and if we get to it, the rear main and the oil pan. So whew. Here's to another good day of wrenching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for wrenching with me. Oh, special thanks to Tractor Hyatt for he sent us some decals for the tractor, so special thanks to him. Special thanks to Owen. I got another care package with a bunch of Red Power magazines in there. I think that's it. So we'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for stopping by.